The Forest of Four was quiet that morning. Too quiet. Danny Harmon noticed it the moment he stepped out of his research station. The birds were not singing. The insects were not buzzing. Something had scared them all into silence. Danny was a wildlife biologist. He had spent 3 years on this frontier colony world, studying the local animals and plants. He knew when the forest felt wrong, and right now, it felt very wrong. He grabbed his equipment bag and his scanner. His colleague looked up from her desk with a frown. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Something is off out there," Danny said. "I want to check it out." Shook her head. "Be careful and call me if you find anything strange." Danny smiled. "I always do." He walked into the forest, following the path he knew so well. The trees on Four were tall and blue, with leaves that glowed faintly in the morning light. Normally, he loved walking here, but today every shadow made him nervous. After an hour of walking, he saw the smoke. It was rising from a small valley ahead, thin and gray against the pale sky. Danny moved faster, pushing through the bushes until he reached the edge of the valley. What he saw made him stop breathing. There was a crashed ship in the valley. No, not a ship. It was smaller than that. An escape pod, maybe. It was shaped like a teardrop made of dark metal that seemed to absorb the light. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with a purple color. Danny had never seen anything like it. He climbed down into the valley carefully. The ground around the pod was burned and broken. Whatever this thing was, it had come down hard and fast. Danny approached slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. The pod was cracked open on one side. Something had crawled out of it. Danny could see marks in the dirt, like claw marks, leading away from the wreck and into a pile of rocks nearby. He followed the marks. His hands were shaking. He told himself to stay calm, to think like a scientist. But he was scared. He was very scared. The marks led to a small cave between the rocks. Danny knelt down and looked inside. Two amber eyes stared back at him. Danny almost fell backward in surprise, but he did not run. He could not run, because the creature looking at him was clearly hurt and clearly afraid. It was about the size of a large dog. It had silvery blue fur that was matted with blood. Its face was like a cat, but with two long fangs curving down from its upper jaw, like the saber-toothed tigers from Earth's ancient history. Its eyes were large and bright, filled with pain and fear. The creature made a sound. It was not a growl or a hiss. It was something else, something sad, something pleading. Danny felt something strange in his head. It was like a whisper, but not in words. It was in feelings, fear, pain, please, help. He understood. Somehow he understood. "It's okay," Danny said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The creature stared at him. Its eyes were so intelligent, so full of emotion. This was not just an animal. Danny knew that instantly. This was a thinking being, a person trapped in a body that looked like an animal. He reached out his hand slowly. The creature flinched but did not run. Danny touched its fur gently. It was soft and warm. "I'm going to help you," he said. "Can you understand me?" The feeling came again, weaker this time, tired, scared, but also something new, hope. Danny carefully lifted the creature into his arms. It was lighter than he expected. He could feel its heart beating fast against his chest. He carried it out of the rocks and back toward the research station. Was waiting for him at the door. When she saw what he was carrying, her eyes went wide. "Danny, what is that?" she demanded. "I don't know," he admitted, "but it's hurt, and it asked me for help." "It asked you, it can talk." "Not with words, with feelings in my head." Danny carried the creature inside and laid it on the medical table. "I know it sounds crazy, but I felt it. This thing is intelligent, and it's terrified." Looked at the creature for a long moment. Then she sighed and grabbed the medical scanner. "This is a bad idea," she said. "We don't know what this thing is. We don't know where it came from. There could be biological hazards. There could be political problems. If Earth finds out we're hiding an unknown alien species. I know, Danny said, but I couldn't leave it there to die. Scan the creature. Her frown deepened as she read the results. It's definitely not from any known species, she said. The biology is completely different from anything in our database, but the injuries are mostly superficial, cuts and bruises, some minor burns. It should heal with proper care. Danny felt relief wash over him. Good, that's good. The creature opened its eyes and looked at him. That feeling came again, stronger now. Gratitude, trust. And then something else. Images. Danny gasped as pictures flooded his mind. He saw a beautiful world covered in forests and mountains. He saw creatures like this one, but larger, walking and talking and building cities. He saw families and communities and love. Then he saw fire, ships in the sky raining down destruction. He saw the cities burning. He saw the creatures running and screaming and dying. He saw a mother, holding her child, placing it in an escape pod. He felt the mother's love, her fear, her desperate hope that her baby would survive. And then darkness, cold, endless space, and finally a crash. Danny came back to himself with tears in his eyes. He looked at the creature, and he understood everything. Your world is gone, he whispered. Your people are gone, you're the last one. The creature made that sad sound again. Its eyes were wet. Danny took its paw in his hand. Your name, he said. What is your name? An image came to him, a sound. His human mind could not pronounce it perfectly, but he understood it as best he could. He said, your name is. The creature closed her eyes. She pressed her head against Danny's hand. For the first time since the crash, she felt safe. Danny did not know what tomorrow would bring. He did not know who had destroyed Swirled. He did not know what dangers were coming. But he knew one thing for certain. He would protect this child, no matter what. You're safe now, he said softly. I promise you're safe. Outside, the forest was still silent, and somewhere far above, beyond the clouds in the sky, something was watching, something was hunting. The journey was only beginning. 3 days passed, grew stronger. Her wounds healed and she began to eat and move around. She stayed close to Danny always, following him like a shadow wherever he went. Danny learned more about her each day. Through their strange mental connection, she shared pieces of her life with him. He saw her playing with her siblings in a sunlit meadow. He saw her father teaching her to hunt. He saw her mother singing songs in a language that sounded like music. That was what her people called themselves. They had been a peaceful species, living in harmony with their world for thousands of years. They had technology and culture and dreams for the future. And then the Dominion came. There were hunters, not just hunters of animals, but hunters of civilizations. They believed they were the apex predators of the galaxy, the ultimate life form. They conquered or destroyed every species they met. If a species would not submit to their rule, they erased them from existence. The had refused to bow, and so they were exterminated. Was the last. Her mother had put her in an escape pod in the final moments, sending her child into the stars with nothing but hope and love. The pod had drifted for weeks before crashing on 4. Danny held close whenever she shared these memories. He could feel her grief, her loneliness, her fear. She was just a child, maybe 7 or 8 years old by human standards. She had lost everything. I won't let anything happen to you, Danny promised her every night. I will keep you safe. On the 4th day, the transmission came. Was the one who received it. She came running into the main room, her face pale with terror. Danny, she said, you need to see this. The transmission was broadcast on all frequencies. It was not meant just for the research station. It was meant for the entire colony. The image showed a creature unlike anything Danny had ever seen. It was tall and thin, with gray skin and black eyes. Its face was sharp and cruel, with a mouth full of needle-like teeth. It wore armor that seemed to be made of bones and metal. This was a humans of this world, the creature said. Its voice was cold and flat like the sound of ice cracking. We are the Dominion. We have come for something that belongs to us. A child escaped our cleansing. Our sensors show it is on your planet. You will bring this creature to us. You have 1 day. Danny felt press against his leg. She was trembling. If you do not comply, the continued, we will take what we want by force. Do not test us. We have crushed empires older than your species. You are nothing to us. Bring us the creature and we will leave in peace. Resist and you will share its fate. The transmission ended. For a long moment, nobody spoke, then looked at Danny with fear in her eyes. They know she's here, whispered. Danny, what do we do? Before Danny could answer, his communicator buzzed. It was a message from the colonial headquarters in the main settlement. The administrator, Ben Carlisle, wanted to speak with him immediately. Danny went alone. He did not bring and he did not tell Ben about her location. He had a bad feeling about this meeting. Ben Carlisle was a practical man. He had run this colony for 10 years, making hard decisions to keep people safe. When Danny entered his office, Ben looked tired and worried. You found the alien, Ben said. It was not a question. Danny did not lie. Yes. Where is it now? Safe. Ben sighed. He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the colony below. Men, women, and children going about their lives, unaware of the danger in orbit above them. Danny, Ben said quietly, I have 3,000 people on this world, families, children. If I refuse to hand over this alien, those things up there will kill everyone. I can't let that happen. Danny's heart went cold. You want to give to them. I don't want to, but what choice do I have? We have no military here, no weapons that can fight a warship. If we resist, we all die. They killed her entire species, Danny said. His voice was shaking with anger. Every single one. She is just a child, Ben, a child, and you want to hand her over to be murdered. Ben turned to face him. There was pain in his eyes. I don't like it either, but I have to think about my people first. Danny stood up. His hands were clenched into fists. Then I guess I have to think about mine. He left before Ben could stop him. When Danny returned to the research station, was waiting with 2 other people. Sam Vega was a former Marine who had come to 4 looking for a quiet life. He was tall and strong, with scars on his arms from old battles. Grace was an engineer, brilliant and creative, who could build anything from spare parts. They both looked at Danny with serious expressions. We heard what happened, Sam said, and we're not letting them take her. Danny stared at them. You understand what this means. If we run, if we hide her, we're making enemies of the Dominion. We're putting ourselves in danger. Grace smiled grimly. We know. But why? Danny asked. You don't even know. Why would you risk your lives for her? Sam stepped forward. He put his hand on Danny's shoulder. Because it's the right thing to do, Sam said simply. Those things up there think they can do whatever they want. They think they can hunt children and wipe out entire species and nobody will stop them. Well, they're wrong. We're humans, and humans don't abandon the innocent. Nodded. I've been scared since this started, but I'm more scared of what kind of person I would become if I let them take. Danny felt tears in his eyes. He had expected to fight alone. He had expected to die alone, but he was not alone. They packed supplies quickly. Food, water, medical equipment, weapons. Grace brought tools and electronics. Sam brought experience and courage, brought knowledge of the local plants and animals. And Danny brought. Before they left, looked up at them all. She could not speak with words, but Danny felt her feelings clearly. She was confused. She was scared, but she was also deeply moved. These strange beings, these humans, were risking everything for her. They barely knew her. They owed her nothing, but they were standing between her and the hunters who had killed her family. Why? She asked Danny silently. Danny knelt down and looked into her amber eyes. "Because that's what families do," he said, "and you're part of our family now." They slipped out of the research station just as night fell. Behind them, the colony lights glowed peacefully, unaware of the darkness that was coming. Above, the hunting ship descended through the clouds. The hunt had begun. The hunters landed at dawn. There were 12 of them, tall and gray, armed with weapons that could cut through metal like paper. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. The leader was called. He had hunted across 100 worlds and killed 1,000 prey. To him, this mission was simple: find the child, kill anyone who stood in his way, return home before the week ended. Humans were not even worth thinking about. Young species, soft bodies, no claws, no fangs, no natural weapons. They would hand over the creature or they would die. Either way did not care. The colonial administrator met them at the landing zone. Ben Carlisle was sweating, his face pale. "The alien is not here," Ben said quickly. "Some of my people took it and ran into the wilderness. I tried to stop them, but they were gone before I could act." Stared at him with black, emotionless eyes. "Then we will hunt them." "Please," Ben said. "Those are my people. They're just scared and confused. If you let me talk to them, maybe I can convince them to return the creature." Grabbed Ben by the throat and lifted him off the ground. Ben choked and struggled, but the grip was like iron. "I do not negotiate," said. "I hunt. Your people made themselves prey when they ran. Now they will be treated as prey." He dropped Ben to the ground and turned to his hunters. "Find them. Kill anyone who resists. Bring me the child." The hunt began. Deep in the forest, Danny and his group kept moving. They had been walking all night, putting as much distance between themselves and the colony as possible. Rode on Danny's back, her small claws gripping his jacket gently. "They're coming," Sam said. He was checking a small scanner that Grace had modified to detect life signs. "At least 10 of them, maybe more. They're fast." "How long until they catch up?" asked. "At this rate, 6 hours, maybe less." Danny looked around at the forest. He had studied this land for 3 years. He knew every hill, every stream, every cave. This was his territory, not theirs. "Then we don't run," Danny said. "We fight." Sam raised an eyebrow. "Fight against those things?" "Not directly. We're not strong enough for that, but we're smart, and we know this land better than they do." Danny pointed to a narrow canyon ahead. "That canyon has only one way in. The walls are unstable. Grace, could you bring them down if we needed to?" Grace studied the canyon for a moment. Then she smiled. "Give me an hour and some explosives." "We don't have explosives," pointed out. "I can make some." They set to work. Grace used chemicals from their medical supplies to create simple bombs. Sam scouted the area and found the best positions for an ambush. Collected plants that she knew were poisonous to most carbon-based life forms. Danny planned the trap, using everything he knew about predators and prey. Watched them with wide eyes. Through their mental link, she asked Danny what they were doing. "We're preparing to welcome our guests," Danny said with a grim smile. 4 hours later, they entered the canyon. They moved in a tight formation, their sensors scanning for any sign of their prey. Was in the lead, his eyes glowing with hunger. "They came through here," one of the hunters said. "The trail is fresh." "Good," replied. "They are tired and scared. This will be easy." That was when the first explosion went off. The canyon wall collapsed with a thunderous roar. Rocks and dirt came crashing down, burying 2 of the hunters instantly. The others scattered, confused and alarmed. Ambush shouted, "Find them!" But there was no one to find. The humans were hidden high on the cliffs, invisible among the rocks. Sam fired 3 shots from his rifle, each one hitting in the joints of their armor where they were most vulnerable. 3 more hunters fell, howling in pain. Roared with fury. He fired his weapon at the cliffs, but the humans were already gone, moving through paths only they knew. The next trap was half a mile ahead, had spread her poison on the leaves along the trail. When they pushed through the bushes, the toxin entered through their skin. Within minutes, 2 more hunters were convulsing on the ground, too weak to move. "What is this?" one of them screamed. "What kind of prey fights back like this?" Was beginning to understand. These humans were not acting like prey at all. They were acting like hunters. They were using the land itself as a weapon. For the first time in his long life, felt something he had never felt before: doubt. The attacks continued throughout the day. The humans never faced them directly. They struck from the shadows and disappeared. They collapsed bridges and blocked paths. They used fire and water and stone to harm and confuse their enemies. By nightfall had only 5 hunters left, 5 out of 12, and they had not even seen their prey once. "This is impossible," one of the hunters said. His voice was shaking. "These are just humans, they are nothing. How are they doing this?" Did not answer. He was staring into the darkness of the forest, where shadows moved in ways he could not understand. High on a mountain ridge, Danny and his group rested in a hidden cave. They were exhausted but alive. Grace was treating a small wound on Sam's arm, was preparing food from the supplies they had brought, was curled up beside Danny, her eyes glowing softly in the dark. "We hurt them today," Sam said. "Really hurt them. I've never seen anything like it." "But there are more coming," Grace said quietly. "That was just a hunting party. What happens when they call for reinforcements?" Danny nodded. He knew they could not fight forever. They were just 4 humans and 1 alien child against an empire that had conquered the stars. But for today, they had survived, and they had shown the something they had never expected. Pressed her head against Danny's hand. Through their link, he felt her thoughts. "Your people," she said. "You are not like anything they have faced before." "What do you mean?" Danny asked. "You have no claws, no fangs. You are not the fastest or the strongest, but you do not give up. You do not abandon your pack. You adapt, you think. You fight in ways nobody expects." Danny smiled tiredly. "We've been underdogs before. It's kind of our specialty." "They believe they are the ultimate predators," continued. "But they are wrong. They hunt because they are strong. You hunt because you are smart, because you care about each other, because you refuse to quit." She looked up at him with those luminous amber eyes. "They should be afraid of you," she said. "All of them should be afraid." Danny looked out at the dark forest below. Somewhere down there they were regrouping, licking their wounds, trying to understand what had happened. Let them come, he thought. Let them bring their entire empire if they wanted. Humanity had faced extinction before, on their own planet, in wars and famines and disasters, and they had survived every single time. They would survive this too. Tomorrow would bring more fighting, more danger, more uncertainty. But tonight, in this small cave on a distant world, a family held each other close and refused to be afraid. The hunt was far from over, stood at the edge of a cliff, looking down at the forest that had become his nightmare. His communicator crackled with the voice of his commander, speaking from the warship in orbit. "You have failed," the commander said coldly. 12 hunters, and you cannot catch 4 humans and a child." "These humans are not what we expected," replied through gritted teeth. "They fight like nothing I have ever seen. They use the land against us. They set traps. They—" "Excuses," the commander interrupted. "I am done waiting. I am bringing the ship down. We will burn the entire region from the sky. If the child dies in the fire, so be it. At least the extermination will be complete." Felt a chill run down his spine. "Commander, there are human settlements in this region, thousands of civilians." "Then they should not have helped our prey. Prepare for bombardment." The transmission ended. In the cave, Danny woke suddenly. Something was wrong. He could feel it in his bones. Was already awake, her eyes wide with terror. Through their link she sent him images of fire falling from the sky, of forests burning, of everything dying. "They're going to bomb us," Danny said. "The whole region." Sam jumped to his feet. "What? That's insane. There are colonists here, families." "They don't care," said. Her voice was hollow. "We've embarrassed them, hurt them. Now they want revenge." Grace was already working on her scanner. Her face went pale as she read the data. "There's a warship descending through the atmosphere," she said. "It's massive. We have maybe 2 hours before it's in firing range." Danny felt despair wash over him. They had fought so hard. They had done everything right. But how could they fight a warship? How could they stop fire from falling from the sky? Pressed against him, trembling. "I'm sorry," she said through their link. "This is my fault. If I had died with my people, none of this would have happened." Danny held her close. "Don't ever say that. You are not a burden. You are worth fighting for. You are worth dying for." But what could they do? They were just 4 people. They had no ships, no weapons that could reach orbit. They were trapped. Then the radio crackled. "4 Colony, this is the United Earth Navy cruiser Endurance. We received your distress signal. What is your situation?" For a moment nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Danny grabbed the radio. "Endurance, this is Danny Harmon. We have a hostile alien warship entering atmosphere. They intend to bombard civilian settlements. We need help immediately." There was a pause. Then a woman's voice came through, calm and steady. "This is Commander Lisa Tran. We see the warship. We're moving to intercept." "Commander, you need to understand. These are the Dominion. They've conquered half the galaxy. They're not going to back down just because you show up." Another pause. Then Commander Tran spoke again, and her voice was like steel. "Neither are we." In orbit above 3 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The cruiser Endurance led the formation, flanked by 2 smaller destroyers. They were not the biggest ships in the galaxy. They were not the most advanced. But they were crewed by humans, and that made all the difference. Commander Lisa Tran stood on the bridge, watching the warship on her tactical display. It was twice the size of her cruiser, bristling with weapons that could tear through armor like paper. Her first officer, a young man named Jake Collins, stepped up beside her. "Commander, they're hailing us. They're demanding we stand down and leave the system." Lisa smiled coldly. "Open a channel, all frequencies. I want everyone to hear this." The channel opened. The commander's face appeared on the screen. He was tall and gray, with black eyes full of contempt. "Human vessel," they said. "You are interfering in Dominion business. Leave now or you will be destroyed." Lisa stood tall and faced the screen. "Listen carefully," she said. "You came to our world. You threatened our people. You hunted a child who was under our protection. Now you want to bomb our colonies because we had the nerve to fight back." She leaned forward, her eyes blazing. "We don't care how old your empire is. We don't care how many species you've conquered. Humanity does not abandon the innocent to be slaughtered. We do not surrender our people to murderers. If you want war, you'll have one." She paused, then spoke the final words clearly and firmly. "And we don't lose." The commander's face twisted with rage. "You are insects. We will crush you and then burn your world to ash." "You're welcome to try." The channel closed. Lisa turned to her crew. "All hands, battle stations. Today we teach these predators what it means to hunt humans." The battle began. The warship fired first, sending massive beams of energy toward the human ships. But the Endurance was already moving, twisting and dodging in ways that they had never seen. Human pilots trained in atmospheres, in storms, in conditions that would kill most species. They were used to fighting at a disadvantage. The destroyers split apart, attacking from different angles. Their weapons were smaller than the guns, but they were precise. They targeted the warship's engines, its weapons, its sensors. Little wounds that added up. The commander screamed orders at his crew. They were not used to prey that fought back. They were not used to enemies that did not run. Every time they tried to bring their main guns to bear, the human ships danced away. In the forest below, Danny and his group watched the lights in the sky. They could see the flashes of weapons fire, the streaks of missiles, the distant explosions. "They're actually doing it," whispered. "They're actually fighting them." Watched with wide eyes, she had seen them destroy her people. She had seen them burn her world. She had believed that nothing could stop them. But these humans, these strange, soft, clawless beings, were standing against them. They were refusing to kneel. The battle lasted for an hour. The warship took hit after hit. Its shields failed. Its engines sputtered. Finally, a combined volley from all three human ships struck its reactor. The explosion lit up the sky like a second sun. On the Endurance, Commander Tran watched the warship die. Around her, her crew cheered. But she did not celebrate. She knew this was only the beginning. "Get me a channel to the surface," she said, "and find those people who sent the distress signal. I want to know what started this fight." On the ground, the surviving hunters saw their warship explode. They saw their hope of victory turn to ash, stared at the sky, unable to believe what he was seeing. "Impossible," he whispered. "This is impossible." Then he heard footsteps behind him. He turned and found himself facing Sam Vega, rifle raised and ready. "Nothing is impossible," Sam said. "You just underestimated the wrong species." The remaining hunters were captured within the hour. They did not fight. They were too shocked, too broken. Their whole understanding of the universe had been shattered. As the sun rose over four, Danny carried out of the forest and into the open. She looked up at the sky where the warship had died. She looked at the humans around her, tired and wounded but alive. She pressed her head against Danny's chest, and for the first time since her world burned, she wept with joy. They had won. Somehow, against all odds, they had won. But Danny knew this was not the end. The Dominion would not forget this defeat. They would come back with more ships, more hunters, more fury. Humanity had made an enemy today, a powerful enemy. But they had also sent a message to the galaxy, a message that would echo across the stars. "We protect our own, and we do not give up." Never, the news of the battle at 4 spread across the galaxy like wildfire. A young species called humanity had faced the mighty Dominion and won. They had protected an alien child from genocide. They had destroyed a warship. The Galactic Council demanded answers. The Council was the oldest institution in known space. It was made up of representatives from hundreds of species, some of them millions of years old. For centuries, they had allowed them to do as they pleased. The Dominion was too powerful to challenge. Their extermination campaigns were treated as internal matters that no one discussed. But now everything had changed. The human ambassador to the Council was a woman named Molly Vance. She was small and soft-spoken, with gray hair and kind eyes. The elder races looked at her with amusement. What could this representative of such a young species possibly say that would matter? Molly smiled gently and began to speak. "Honorable members of the Council," she said, "I come before you today to present evidence of crimes against all life. The Dominion has committed genocide. They have exterminated an entire species called the down to the last child." The ambassador, a tall creature named, rose in fury. "This is outrageous. There were rebellious subjects who refused to submit to our authority. We had every right to discipline them." "Discipline?" Molly's voice remained calm, but her eyes hardened. "You killed every man, woman, and child. You burned their cities. You destroyed their culture, their art, their history. You hunted their bodies across the stars. That is not discipline. That is murder." She pressed a button on her console. The room filled with images. Images that came from memories, extracted carefully and by neutral observers. The Council watched in silence as they saw the world burn. They saw families running through the streets. They saw children crying for parents who would never come. They saw ships raining fire on schools and hospitals. Some of the representatives looked away, others wept, a few simply stared in horror. They were peaceful, Molly continued. They had no army, they posed no threat to anyone, they simply wanted to live their lives in freedom, and for that they destroyed them all. Slammed his fist on the table. This is propaganda. The humans are trying to turn you against us. They are a primitive species with no understanding of galactic politics. Molly turned to face him directly. We understand perfectly. We understand that for too long this council has looked away while the Dominion committed atrocity after atrocity. We understand that fear has kept you silent, but humanity does not live in fear, and we will not be silent. She addressed the full council again. There is one survivor of the genocide, a child named. She asked a human for help and we answered. We protected her because it was right, not because it was convenient, not because it served our interests, but because innocent lives matter, because children deserve to grow up without being hunted. Her voice rose. Today I ask this council to take a stand, condemn the Dominion for their crimes, show the galaxy that genocide will not be tolerated, show every small species living in fear that they are not alone, that there is justice, that there is hope. She paused. Or stay silent and prove that this council is nothing but a club for cowards. The chamber erupted in shouting. The delegation demanded punishment for the insult. The elder races argued among themselves, but something was happening that had never happened before. The younger species were speaking up. Representative after representative stood to support the human motion. Species that had lived in terror of the Dominion for centuries found their courage. They spoke of friends lost, worlds destroyed, families broken. They spoke of generations of silence and fear. And they said no more. The vote was held at sunset. For the first time in recorded history, the Dominion was formally censured by the Galactic Council. Their extermination campaigns were declared crimes against sentient life. Sanctions were imposed. Their ambassadors were expelled. Stared at the council in disbelief. Then he turned to Molly with hatred burning in his eyes. You will regret this, he hissed. Humanity has made an enemy today. We will not forget. We will not forgive. One day we will come for you and we will make you suffer. Molly looked at him calmly. We've faced worse than you, she said. On our own world with our own hands we've fought monsters and survived. We're not afraid of you, and if you come for us we'll be ready. Stormed out, the Dominion from the council entirely. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for war. But war did not come. Not yet. The Dominion was angry, but they were also cautious now. They had seen what humans could do. They would not attack without preparation. And in that breathing space, everything changed. On 4, life slowly returned to normal. The colonists rebuilt their settlements. The forest healed from the battle's scars. Danny returned to his research station, but now he had a new responsibility. Lived with him. Under a newly created guardianship law, Danny had officially adopted her. She was his daughter now, in every way that mattered. The years passed. Grew from a frightened cub into a powerful, intelligent adult. Her silver-blue fur shimmered in the sunlight. Her amber eyes held wisdom beyond her years. She learned to speak with her voice as well as her mind, mastering human languages with surprising ease. She became a symbol, the last saved by human kindness, raised by human love. Other species looked at her and saw hope. If humanity could save one child from genocide, maybe they could save others too. Was appointed as an ambassador, traveling across the galaxy to speak to species that had lived in fear for too long. She told her story to anyone who would listen. The story of a frightened cub, alone in the darkness, asking for help. And the humans who answered. When my world burned, she said at a gathering of 1,000 representatives, I was alone and afraid. I had lost everything. My family, my home, my people. I fled across the stars with nothing but the hope that someone somewhere would help me. She paused, looking out at the crowd. I crashed on a human world. I did not know what humans were. I had never met one, but a man found me. His name was Danny. He looked at me, a strange alien creature bleeding in the dirt, and he did not run away. He did not call for security. He did not hand me over to my hunters. Her voice grew stronger. He picked me up. He carried me home. He healed my wounds and held me when I cried. And when the hunters came, he stood between them and me. He and his friends fought for me. They risked their lives for a creature they had just met. Smiled, and there were tears in her eyes. That is who humans are. They do not have claws or fangs. They are not the biggest or the fastest or the strongest, but they have hearts bigger than suns. They have courage that never breaks. They protect those who cannot protect themselves. They fight for justice even when it costs them everything. She spread her arms wide. Wherever there is darkness in this galaxy, you will find humans walking toward it, not away. They are not perfect. They make mistakes. But when the moment comes, when the choice matters, they choose compassion. They choose courage. They choose love. She lowered her voice. The thought they were the ultimate predators. They believed they ruled the galaxy through fear and strength. But they were wrong. True strength is not about killing. True strength is about protecting. And humanity has more strength than any species I have ever known. She stood tall, the last daughter of a dead world, speaking for all the voiceless victims of the galaxy. I was lost, and humans found me. I was hunted, and humans defended me. I was alone, and humans gave me a family. That is their gift to the universe. That is their legacy, and I will spend my life making sure the galaxy never forgets it. In the audience, Danny watched his daughter with pride filling his heart, stood beside him along with Sam and Grace. They had all grown older, their hair touched with gray, but they had never regretted their choice. Caught Danny's eye. Through their old mental link, she sent him one simple message. "Thank you, Father." Danny smiled and sent his answer back. "Always, little one, always." And across the stars, in a galaxy that had known too much fear and darkness, something new was spreading. A whisper, a rumor, a truth. Humanity was coming, not as conquerors or destroyers, but as protectors, as healers, as friends. And wherever they went, hope followed. The journey that had begun with one frightened child and one kind man was changing the universe forever. This was just the beginning.